we're, I think, a little under a week away from this deadline with Secretary Blinken and Secretary Austin's letter to the Israelis. Can you give any updates beyond what you've already said in previous briefings on any things that Israel has ticked off that list ahead of next week? And also, as well, in the letter, could you give an update on the channel that the US is hoping to establish with Israel on civilian harm?
Let me take the second question first with respect to the channel. We have had conversations with them in the past week or so about establishing the first meeting of that channel. The first meeting has not yet taken place, but we're hoping to land that meeting and have it take place in the coming days, in the next week or two. It's something that continues to be a priority for us. When it comes to progress on the other steps that the Secretary laid out in the letter to improve the delivery of humanitarian assistance, we have seen Israel take a number of important steps over the past several weeks, including in just the past few days. They reopened Erez Crossing, as you heard me report before, but they have also informed us that in the coming days, in the next few days, they plan to open an additional new crossing at Kisufim. They have approved additional delivery routes inside Gaza, which is something that is critical because, as you know, the problem has not only been getting humanitarian assistance to the crossings, but then getting it out of the crossings and getting it delivered to the people who need them. So routes such as the Beni Shuhela road in southern Gaza, they have approved expanded use of the Israeli fence road and are currently repairing the coastal road to get that road operational for the delivery of assistance. They are now allowing convoys into areas in the north that have been closed for weeks and that you have heard us say needed to be open to allow humanitarian assistance in. The first convoy today went through Jabalia into Beit Hanun, the first convoy in several weeks. That is something that we have emphasized is critical. The people who have been in those areas had not had access to sufficient food and water, and we have made clear that that needed to change, and we saw the first convoy go to Beit Hanun today. We have seen them take increased efforts to stop looting. They've paved new routes to try and bypass some of the areas where trucks have been looted repeatedly. And we've seen some initial expansion of the Mawasi area, which, as you know, is something the Secretary specifically called for in the letter. So, of course, what's important when you see all of these steps taken is what that means for the results, because it's not just sufficient to open new roads if more humanitarian assistance isn't going through those roads. So what we want to see over the coming days and coming weeks is to see these new routes actually have more humanitarian assistance delivered over them. So we have seen a bit of an uptick in the number of trucks. For example, 2 days ago, we saw 229 enter various crossings and saw 115 of them that were collected, which is a bit of an increase over where we had been. Now, as always, when we give a metric like this, we want to see that number continue to increase. But the most important thing is that we see an increase is that it be sustained. And that is one of the critical metrics that we are looking at.
Sorry, just before Steve goes, the channel, remind me, when did you give a deadline for that to be set up?
We said we wanted to see the first meeting take place by the end of October. It didn't take place by the end of October, right. But we're working to land the meeting and expect it to happen in the coming days or week or two.
Well, okay, if and when it happens, does that mean that they're essentially off the hook for not meeting the October 31st deadline?
So there's two things about I want to say about that. First of all, when you look at that portion of the letter, it's important to note that was not tied to the humanitarian assistance piece. That was a separate deadline, right? It was right. I know you didn't say it, just make it clear, because I think a lot of people have kind of conflated the two. What we made clear in the letter is that we wanted to see that meeting take place. We've had a lot of communication with them about the appropriate level at which that meeting should take place, the appropriate way for that meeting to take place. We asked for it virtually, and what I think we're going to land on is an actual in-person meeting, and are working on exactly who attends that meeting and when it happens, and hope to get that finalized in the next few days and be able to announce when it will happen, but we're not there yet.
Well, I get that. I understood, but does that mean that they get they move from a failing grade to a passing grade if and when it comes up?
That's not the way we're looking at it. We said we want to have the meeting. It didn't happen by when we wanted it to happen. We want to have it happen as soon as possible.
So there's no penalty for it.
We want to
Or
see
not
the
meeting
meeting
that.
take place. Ultimately, what we care about is getting a result and is get that
Right.
channel established so we can start to get information
I
in.
just want to know, because I mean, if you're going to say, oh, it's okay to blow through this deadline, but you still have the meeting, but it might not be for another 2 weeks, but then it's okay, and you don't regard it as them
We-
ignoring.
We
your-
want to see it. We want to see it happen as soon as possible. We're continuing to press for it.
Sorry.
Yeah, Simon.
Sort of following on from from that, with the 30-day deadline, in the letter it lays out, well, it suggests there will be implications for U.S. policy and law. Given now that this administration only has a couple of months left, what is the downside for Israel if they don't follow your these demands?
I don't want to speculate about what may or may not happen. We have made clear that there are potential legal and policy considerations from failure to improve the humanitarian assistance situation in Gaza and implement a number of the steps that we outlined in the letter. We are in active discussion with them, including in the past several days, about steps that they have taken and what more that they need to do. And we'll make an assessment when we get to the end of the period. And beyond that, I wouldn't want to speculate about what may or may not happen.
And in the last, I guess, 2 days, do you have any sense that your pressure is being taken less seriously as a result of, anything that you do in the next 2 months would be able to be reversed?
So we have seen them take, I would just note that what we have seen, including over the last few days, in response to the letter that we sent them, and not just the letter, but in response to the repeated engagements we have had with them, both at the Secretary's level. As you know, he talked to the then Defense Minister on Monday. He talked to the Minister of Strategic Affairs on Friday to make clear that we wanted to see further progress beyond what we had already seen. And engagements at other levels, including through our ambassador, Jack Lew, and through our special envoy, Lise Grande. We have continued to press them, and we have seen them, including in the past few days since the election, take additional steps. So I'm not going to try to judge why, I'm not going to try to make a judgment that's connected to the election one way or the other. We're just going to look at the facts, and we're looking at the facts as they develop, and we'll make our assessments based on those facts.